and say we create a new file here. We'll call it models.js. Now you don't have to follow this convention. You could make a model folder or model file for each type of model you want to hold. Because we only have two, I'm just going to throw them in the same one. So first we'll do mongoose equals require mongoose here. Okay. Oh. Okay. Afterwards, we'll go. So we got our mongoose require module in. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a. We want to create a schema here. So mongoose schema. I'm being yelled at for typing too loud, so I'm gonna type a little bit quieter for you guys. Sorry about that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a schema, and the schema will have a username and password, and I guess it created that too. So what we'll do is, let me go back, and we'll call this. I'm actually gonna copy and paste the code because I don't actually memorized the mongoose schema stuff. Okay. So we're going to create a user schema, and the user schema will be have a username, password. And the thing is, when we create a schema, we define what the types are for each field. And we have created that, which is a of type date. And when we create a new one, the default value will be now, unless specified by the thing that saves the model. We're also going to have one more model, which is called the post schema, which will be new mongoose schema. And username will be, nope, not schema, post schema, so it'll be text, and it'll be type string. We'll also have created by, Helen, what is it going to be? Is it going to be type string? Or
yeah, could you make it a type string?
Okay. So it'll be created by, and it'll be a string that will point to the user ID that created it. And we'll have created at, actually, I don't think I need created at, I just think I need, is that all you need, Helen?
Well, the created at would have a timestamp for the post, so we do want that.
Okay. There we go. Boom. Okay, so now we have our schemas. Now Mongoose wants us to create, the final thing to do when we're using Mongoose is just to synthesize our models. And so it's really easy to synthesize a model. All we have to do is do mongoose model post mongoose model user, and that'll allow us to just to export those modules into Mongoose so that they could be used by anybody using the Mongoose module in the application. So mongoose user, and it'll be .model. Yeah. All right. And we'll do the user schema, which means I'm declaring a model. So I'll put that. Declare a model called user, which has schema user schema. So now remember, MongoDB under the covers really has no concept of a schema. It really is schemaless. So you can do whatever you want, which is great because you can change things in the future, but it's also good practice to kind of have some sanity onto what that data object's going to look like so that you have some consistency through your database. If you need to add something or remove something, it's pretty flexible, but it allows you to actually declaratively describe what things look like.
And once you're done with that, can you actually do me one more favor? I'm the person that's going to consume a lot of these, so I do want what we're doing to align. Could you use username instead of created by for the user schema?
Yep.
Thank you.
You got it. There you go. So text username, and we'll do our post model and our post schema. And same thing here. It'll be a model called user, which has schema. User schema, same thing, model called post, called using post schema. Okay, so we've created that. We can require that in, so I'll do that. We could do it right after Mongoose Connect. We could do require, and we don't really need to hold on to the models module we don't really need to, but we can if we wanted to. So we'll do models.js. Okay. Now this require will actually start to execute whatever's in models.js. I don't think we actually export anything, so it'll just be within the Mongoose library itself. Okay. And so now we've actually created our basic connection to MongoDB with the schemas that we want to do. Now, the exciting part really is adding the users, getting the users out of like the in-memory nonsense that we're doing with the users, as well as the post as well. So the first thing we'll do is we'll implement the users in MongoDB because we need users to actually create posts. So it makes sense to start there. So to do that, if you remember that Passport init had this pesky little users data store, so we'll get rid of that and we'll actually start to use MongoDB instead. So we'll do mongoose equals require mongoose. And then we'll say users equals mongoose.model. Is that right?
Where are you doing that?
When I grab the models, let me see. Should be. I think so. Yeah. Mongoose model. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm saying. If we catch it here earlier, then I don't have stuff blowing up in my face later. Post. Okay. So all this, by the way, if you just look at the Mongoose documentation, you just do a quick search. It's really easy. You'll find this all documented. So because we required and initialized Mongoose before we actually loaded this, which let me double check that we did. If not, things will kind of go haywire. So we have mongoose require. So what we should actually do is we should require it after we do passport init, which would make sense to do it here. Before it. So do it right before. So actually it doesn't matter. We could do it here. We could do it on the top.
Yeah, I think you're okay wherever.
Yeah, I'm okay whatever. As long as it's not after passport init, because then passport wouldn't have any type of users declared otherwise. Okay, so we've created that. And so now that we have our users and we have our posts, we can actually start manipulating some stuff. So if we want to actually create a...
Are you looking for the authenticate?
No, I'm not looking for anything. I'm good. So sign up here. So instead now, wherever we see users bracket, that was our old database, our in-memory stuff, and now we're going to actually use it for use MongoDB. So we'll do users, or user. I really should call it users. Yeah, we'll call it users. Okay. It might be different in the end module. I forgot what we called it on our final version. But we'll say users.findOne. So FindOne is a method, which is just a convenience method. It's actually on the raw MongoDB library as well. And really it's a convenience to find a document which matches, the first one that matches the query. And the queries in MongoDB are described by query objects and not by actual queries. Like SQL queries, it's just an object, which is a query object, and that's just what it is. And it describes the type of object we're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for an object, a user object with username equal to the username that we're passed in by Passport. Okay? And what it'll do is will give us a callback, or the callback, and we'll give it to it. The first argument, remember in a callback in Node.js, is usually an error, and then afterwards it's actually the document. So I will call it the user object. Okay, and there we go. Beautiful. So now, if we got an error, we can say, so either way, we need to call this callback to tell the function that we're done. So we'll do return done, and we'll say db error, and we can pass this to error. And we could say, and we could actually just pass it directly. And otherwise, we'll just do false because we actually did not find the sign-up request failed because there's something off the database. Otherwise, if user, so if we did find a user, that means that we have already signed this user up, meaning that this sign up request should fail because this username is already taken. Okay. Cool. So now that the username is already taken, it's false.